All right, guys, now we're picking up on planting day. There is storms about, but not anything threatening soon. There may be some good rain coming tonight, so this is also fantastic timing. And the ground is not completely dried out, but it's at a good moist level, so I won't be choking on a lot of dust. Now, I want to go over something here before I do what I intend to fully put in here. For you guys that have sandy soil, I'm going to try to at least help you out here because of this area right here. It's still clay. Don't get me wrong, this ain't sand, this is still clay. But I have water retention issues similar to what sandy soil does. But instead of sandy soil hitting on top of the ground and just running deep, clay hits on top and runs across the top. So that's the main difference between the two. But either one can be improved greatly to the point where it will function like good soil. So there definitely is a difference between what I consider dirt and soil. Things that look dead, like this white color right here, to me, that is just dirt. There's no real function to it. Soil is something, to me, that is living and has some type of structure to it, to where it maintains good plant health. This is just loads of rocks. And if you run over this repeatedly, it'll turn to sand. But how is that good soil structure? It's not. This ain't even anything worth using. So you get here to where the clay starts mixing in, and then you start getting some sort of hybrid dirt soil combo here, mostly just dirt. It's not really living like I would prefer it to be living. But anyway, this is one trick that I've done in the past. I'm going to use another method today. But you can go out, and if for those of you that's already, like if you're putting seed down now, you put some sort of, let's say, grater across the top of it, like a chain link fence with teeth on it, that type of grating. It will bury a certain portion of your seed. You may have to repeatedly run over those areas over and over to get a more consistent look, but you can run that over 2 or 3 times. Then lay down a wheat bale and cover the whole ground, or a cereal rye bale. Both of those will have free seed with it, or extra seed with it. And then when you sow the blanket of straw over the top, you are retaining moisture. Not only are you retaining moisture, you are also creating a new wave of rotting organic matter. That's important. That is the future in your following cycles to get this going. Now, I'm going to use another method, and that is humic acid. I'm going to dump a large amount, which is all I have remaining, which is about 25 pounds, and I'm going to encompass from here back. This place here has so much trouble retaining fluids that I'm going to use that humic acid to help hold this in longer and kind of imitate additional organic matter. That's what it pretty much does, and helps pump the roots to grow larger. So I need both of these back here, and that will help the fall blends probably look a whole lot greener than anywhere else out here, because I'm going to be dumping quite a bit of it out. So let's go over. I do this all the time because I know this may be repetitive, but I also get new viewers from time to time, and I just want them to see what I am mixing. So this is the green cover. That's the fall release. Now, they do have a different version of this. You can also create your own mix on their website. So whatever you choose to do, I'm not sponsored. If I find good products that I like, I will use them. It has nothing to do with being sponsored. So I like this mix. It helps my soil out, but I also reserve the free will to change the mix myself. So I will typically modify this So here's, for instance, if I don't like the fact that buckwheat is low in the mix, I purchase buckwheat. And I can make the mix at whatever ratio I want. You can also see I've got purple top turnip, or not turnip, but purple top or red top clover. This bag is busted, and that's why I got this tote. I also have additional turnips down here if needed. That's the humic acid I'm going to dump on the back end of this food plot to see if I can improve the quality of that soil by hastening the water retention ability of it. That bag is to be thrown away. If you don't know why, you can look at my previous video, Fall Preparations Part 1, and I explain why. I can add a lot more winter peas. Here is Ladino clover. This is also some old seed that I will probably sprinkle a little bit of that out. It's time to start using it. I can broadcast any seed that I feel that I don't need anymore, except for this bag. It will not be used. But like say that one here, you know, you can always be careful with what you're purchasing. But I saw nothing really bad in there. And if I feel this bag is getting old, I can simply broadcast it out in the field now. So there is a chance I may scatter some fall blend out in the field to kind of jumpstart a few things. That's just remaining to be seen. If I do that, I will do a video for it so you can keep up with what I'm doing. But that's pretty much where we're at. Also, before I forget it, chicory. This is also a good plant to throw out in the field, because that will give it the time to develop for 2 years to help give me that deep root I'm looking for. So there's something else that I can add in, especially up here. Lots amount of chicory. It works fairly well. And what chicory did come up on the backside, the deer did browse it down to nubs at one point. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do. And I'll spare you the video of tilling, but I will go very light. And one additional strategy that I've been implementing is some of these seeds are, well, let's see here. Let me go back to these real quick. So this purple top or red top clover. Let's say normally what I do is I will broadcast this out on the ground and then run a tiller over it. Well, seed like this doesn't need to be deep. It needs to be about 1/4 inch or even less in the ground. So a lot of times what will happen is if I run the tiller up to 1 inch deep, I can bury some of that too deep and lose the seed. So what I've been doing now is after I put out all my big seed, I come back with all this clover seed and throw it in over the top, because the ground is broken up with the tiller and it sinks right down in the cracks and germinates even better than just tilling it in about 60% of the time, it seems. So here, if I just throw it now, that seed right there has a higher chance of dying. All right, guys, I'll show you the end result. This place will look a lot cleaner. We're going to reset the table, and then I'm going to do the main food plot next, and then we'll do the barn last, depending on weather conditions. All right, guys, have a good one. All right, guys, I know it's kind of getting dark. I'm going to hurry along here. Island is planted. I normally didn't tighten my turns like I normally do, so it's a little bit more spotty this time because I was trying to protect the tiller. And that's actually closer to 30 pounds of humic acid. So I'm going to turn that loose right now. And as I spread that everywhere, you can see the soil's getting darker. That's one of the great things about it. It will darken your soil up and really mimic organic matter, word I'm looking for. But yeah, just show you I'm putting it out. Not going to show the whole video, but there you go. I'm putting it out, and this will be stimulated a whole lot more and hopefully grow the best. We'll see. Hang on for future parts. All right, humic acid is out. So we've used it. Soil looked really dark. There's a lot of humic acid here. You can see where I spilled some of it. A lot of humic acid. So we'll see how this back end responds. I went all the way up toward the chestnut tree and stopped there. Covered this back end heavy because it has an awful time growing. So I'm stimulating, sorry for being winded here, stimulating the roots to try to get a good jump start back here and get these roots as deep as possible before this clay hardens up. The only thing left to do is I'll come in here tomorrow and sow the clover. Everything else is down. I'm just running out of daylight. So good rain's coming this week, and I think this will do very well and take off and running here before long. All right, guys, more to come as I continue to edit more and more in. I felt it was at least important that I showed that I am putting humic acid out. So if everything grows like I think it should, you'll see a big difference in the food plot. All right, guys, have a good one. More to come. All right, guys, here's island planting part 2. Fantastic rain last night. So as far as what showed up, couldn't have timed this any better. This seed will have an excellent chance of germinating at a high rate right now. But I'm coming back to add my clover in here. So I'm doing Ladino first, and I'm adding it a little extra thick this year because I want nitrogen pumpers in here. I'm trying to get this nitrogen level up. I've already used fertilizer assistance during the summer to get the nitrogen up because it was just so bad that the other plants were just not growing. So the only ones that really survived was the nitrogen pumpers, and the plants that were not nitrogen pumpers that did make it were generally found where the nitrogen pumpers grew the best. The other plants in here pretty much were just awful. So I'm using a higher rate of nitrogen. So you can see that's Ladino seed, very small. This stuff will fall right down into the small cracks of the dirt, and we'll have a very successful germination rate. So I'm keeping this particular seed very shallow. It'll have excellent contact, and this should come up really nice. Now in areas where I haven't tilled, because there's a lot of root and stump in here, that result may be a little different because that ground is still hard, which represents the hard soil that this whole place has been covered in for who knows how long. But next goal, I will use Ladino, come back and sow that thick, and then Purple Top will also be mixed in here. And I sowed 35 pounds of my green cover seed in here, so there is no shortage of seed. I also have been picking up rocks, keep finding more big rocks being removed, which is a good thing. I want more root space in here. A lot of rocks in here, lots and lots of rocks. And I did turn up a couple of stumps that were hidden quite loud when the tiller hit them. And then I left this little patch of green, just like I did with the clover. I left this right here as a continued path of growth, I will also allow this to seed out and reproduce for next year. So the okra plants are ground up. You know, that, I'm telling you right now, that is some excellent okra sizes for here. Great results. So I know the ground is better. I know it is. It's just now I've got to use more planting cycles to get the better end of it to show. And of course, just removing whatever rocks I find that's a problem. But this right here, see how the plants have immediately perked up. Look nothing like the previous videos. And you can see here, especially with copper treatment, keep an eye out. New records of production. Just like everywhere copper's been, all these plants right here are producing at an extremely high level. So I expect to have very good returns. This stuff's a very expensive seed. Well worth it if it can reseed itself. But temporarily, the dirt is soft and it'll harden back up. But the more organic matter I put in here, the less that will occur. Now, for you guys that have sandy soil, now would be an excellent opportunity to use a wheat bale or a cereal rye bale and cover your seeds. That way you can retain moisture, protect them from other birds and animals from getting them, and your germination rate should be a whole lot better. All right, so I'm not going to show the whole thing here of seeding this. I just got you a basic run of what I'm doing, and then I'm going to do a short video on the other clover, which is the red top, and I may segment some crimson in there as well. All right, guys, that's it for now. More to come.